What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. That is Mike Fuji. I am Al Norfleet, and together we are at the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. And today's show, this episode is called And So It Begins. The 2024 NFL season is upon us. There, we're waiting on, I guess, Randy Cross from the three-time Super Bowl champion from the San Francisco 49ers. So when he comes on, we'll jump right into it. But in the meantime, how are you, Mike?
Well, the moment is finally here, Big Al. 2 days till the Birds kick it off. Ravens, Chiefs kicking it off tomorrow. How are you? How's everybody doing? We're all fired up. The Delaware Valley's pumped. Brazil's rocking with Eagles fans all over the place. Big Al, how are you? Let's get the party rocking started like B-Dog. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing well, man. We sent the Birds off this morning. I took them to the airport, and they should be arriving there in probably another 30 minutes because I've been flight tracking them. Nice. And so they should be on the ground there in just a little bit. So they was all excited this morning. I talked to a few guys, and just like anything else, some guys didn't want to make the trip, but they know they got no choice. But for the most part, they're ready. They're ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, firsthand, you see these guys, what was the mood like? Was it just very upbeat, chill?
Well, I mean, it was business-like because, I mean, these guys, I guess they hold their excitement to the locker room and stuff. But, getting up on the bus, it was all business like every game that, I moved them on. You don't see people jumping around, yelling this and that, So it was all business-like. Right. And that's what they going down there to do is take care of business. Mm-hmm. And we got a few high fives this morning, but other than that, they got on, took their seats, got them to the plane, got up in the air, and like I said, they should be touching down within the next, I'm gonna say, 15 to 20 minutes there.
So, and man, I can't believe it came so fast. I just my main concern is none of these starters really played. In any of the preseason games, which, I just hope, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, these guys need to step up and, big shoes to fill. Kelsey's not there, no big Fletcher Cox in the middle. So, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel that they are up to the task. And, like you say, no starters played during the preseason, but that pretty much has been Coach Sirianno MO ever since he's been here. Right. And it really, I don't see where it has been of harm because they went to the Super Bowl one year. Last year, they started out with 10-1. So whatever he's doing during the preseason, I think has been working and has been preserving the bodies of the players. So let's just hope they correct everything from the end of the season. And with the new additions, I think we should be good. We need to get off to a good start, though.
Well, they got to get off. I mean, they got to come right out of the gate. I mean, you figure Green Bay, Atlanta at home, the big opener, Nick Foles, going to be honored. They go on the road. They play the next three games after Friday are AFC South, New Orleans, and then Tampa Bay. To finish out the month of September. And as a lot of people talked about. I mean, I would say, hate to bring it up, but I just think Sirianni is on the hot seat if this team stumbles out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And, I hate to, I don't want to sound like, I'm just going to be real about it. I can't see how he's not after that debacle, 10-1 and then dropping 6 or 7. Just I don't know. It's
All right.
just a
Well,
big
I mean,
collapse that we haven't seen in a long
yeah,
time.
yeah, absolutely. So I
If
know
not ever.
from throughout the preseason and training camp, what little bit of time that I was around, and I think for the most part, the sentiments from the organization is that is behind us. Leave that there. I'm sure they went over things during the course of the when it ended, and now to talk about it, and they all have, I believe, have put it all behind them, and they put in that next foot forward to try to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right. Well, I
And
mean,
with the players additions they got and the draft choices, I think they're on a good route to not let it happen again.
all right. I mean, new coach, new coordinators, Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore. They brought their own guys in, new coaching staff. You might as well put it that way. Just different players. You don't have a lot of that. Some of that bad karma or whatever was going.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are a lot of question marks, and I think this Green Bay team's going to be up for a fight because they I know they switched out their defensive coordinator.
Hmm.
Teams around the NFL got the lowdown on Jordan Love. How they're going to prepare for him. I'm sure Vic Fangio, the schemes, whatever he's going to run, and Devin White's already out Friday night
Yeah.
with an ankle injury, so that's a big blow to the.
Well, now
Remains to be
let's
seen.
let's let's talk about that a little bit because from everything that I'm hearing today, sure, he's out with an injury.
Right.
But there's been a lot of different stories going on today that he may not get that spot back.
Hmm.
And all day long, I've been listening to different things, and even to the point that one report said that they was trying to trade him prior to the preseason and everything. So I don't know what's going on with that, and everybody that I listen to today don't know, but everybody feels that there is definitely something else going on besides an ankle injury. I mean,
Hmm.
he didn't even travel with the team today.
Well, I mean, I busy at work all day running around. It's really the first I heard of it. I mean, Adam Schefter broke the report, I think, around 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning.
Hmm.
Devin White wasn't going to be playing, so that's really kind of a shock to me. I mean, you got I guess depending on who Vic Fangio is going to put out there,
Right,
it's
right
pretty
now, I think
interesting
it's
now
going to be
about.
N'Kobe, and they're pretty much everything that I've read or heard are saying that they feel that N'Kobe pretty much got the starting job now. So I don't know. Hopefully, more details will come out or more facts will come out about it. But like I said,
Oh,
all day today, every report, nobody's understanding what's going on, but they do know that it's more than an injury.
I mean, I know Devin White pretty much, was in the doghouse towards the days last year at Tampa with Todd Bowles, and
Mhm.
he was the number one pick probably about 5, 6 years ago. And the thing of it is, like, he was, I think he went pretty high, probably in
Right,
the
right.
top 10. But I mean, a guy to fall out of, you know, fall out of love with your coaches or the organization just to be let go. I mean, it's pretty much speaks volumes, I would think. But like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
maybe there is more going on. And like you said, I mean, anybody that knows, I know, like you said, you deal with the guys, but you don't really see what goes on behind the scenes. But
Mhm.
that is pretty interesting that Devin White didn't even make the trip. So hey,
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
tuned, I
He didn't
guess.
make the trip at all. Yep. Okay, let's let's go with tomorrow night here a little bit. We have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens starting the season off. I think that's going to be an Arrowhead in Kansas City. So,
Yes.
what do you feel about that game?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think the Chiefs' offense has gotten better for Patrick Mahomes. Xavier Nady they drafted. They just picked up Samari Persian last week. Running back. I mean,
Hmm.
I think right now, going into tomorrow night for the campaign for 2024, I think Mahomes has more weapons to really throw to besides Travis Kelsey.
Right, right.
Rashard, can't think. Rasheed Rice, was they took Xavier Nady number one, so
Hmm.
Hollywood Brown, I know he's nicked up. They picked him up in the off season, but you know, can the Chiefs be the first team to three-peat?
Yeah, yeah,
Which is a big
absolutely.
question mark. It's you know just another year. Chiefs are nobody predicted them to win last year, but of course, the experience, that taste in their mouth, they pulled it out in overtime against the 49ers. So
Right.
on the Ravens, I mean, they lost Patrick Queen on defense. They brought in Derrick Henry to be the running back. Also, they lost three-fifths of their offensive line. So,
Hmm.
it's going to be, remains to be seen who's going to win. I'm sure the Chiefs will get their Super Bowl rings tomorrow. The Arrowhead will be, pumping, and
Yeah.
Chiefs Kingdom will be ready to rock. So,
Yeah.
what's your take of
Well,
tomorrow?
I'm looking at some things now. I'm going over this the four things to look for in the game tomorrow night. One of the top things is Lamar versus the Chief defense.
Sounds
Now the Ravens are 1-4 against Kansas City, including the playoff loss, and so we depends on how well they readjust because Kansas City has been really ruining them just about every game they played. And so that's one of the keys that's going to determine whether or not they can be successful is if Lamar can deal with that defense of Kansas City.
right.
And like you said, they lost some people during the season, which every team did.
Right.
But the second thing is Mahomes is he's Mahomes. That's about the only thing you can
Oh,
say about him. He's Patrick Mahomes. So and the new weapon that he has around him is
mm-hmm.
better than what he had last year, and he still got it done. So
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Rasheed Rice coming back after, his altercation in the offseason. Like I said, Xavier Nady, number one pick.
hmm,
Um, Samari Persian coming in, running back with Isaiah Pacheco. I still believe they got Clyde Edward-Helaire, Hollywood Brown added. So, like I said, I think Mahomes has more weapons now than he, better than what he did last year.
yeah,
Losing,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
Valdez Scaling and a couple other guys they had on the team. But it's but Lamar, it's just it'll be interesting because plus the Ravens have a new offensive coordinator. Mike
hmm,
McDonald took the job in Seattle, so it's a lot of new looks everywhere, and just getting
yeah,
ready for the
and
that.
like you said earlier, including King Henry.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean,
if he has some things left in his tank, that's going to be a big assist to the Ravens offense. So
oh, definitely. But like I said though, with new offense, the thing of it is, I mean, is Derrick Henry going to get the carries, or Is Lamar just going to take off? Which, remains
Right.
to be seen.
Yeah, I mean it does, but I don't think they would bring Henry in there
Right.
and to continue to let Lamar take off like that. I mean, under necessity, yes,
Right.
but not as so much. A lot of designs
Right.
run for Lamar when you got King Henry back there. So, but like you said, we'll see how it plays out, and it starts tomorrow night. Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens. What kind of predictions you got for that?
No, I really haven't given it much thought. I don't know. To me, it always seems like the team that loses the year before usually ends up beating the champions in the opener. Not every year, but I'd say Baltimore squeaks it out. Not by much,
okay.
but but hey, to me, just love football. See an entertaining game with some of the best elite teams in the league. So
Yeah.
I believe I just got word from Wayne. He said he'll jump on with us anytime.
Yeah, tell him he can jump on right now.
All right.
Yeah, and like I said, if Randy ends up coming on, then we can just incorporate him.
Yeah. All right, so Wayne Henderson of the Packers Fan Podcast will be joining us. Not sure about Randy Cross, but these things do occur, so hopefully we can get Randy on in a future episode if he can't jump on, right now. So now we're just going to dissect, and there he is.
There he goes, Mr. Wayne Henderson of the Green Bay Packers Fan Podcast. How are you, Wayne?
I'm doing all right. Fleet and Fuji live
sir.
on
Yes,
YouTube.
indeed.
Did you know? Yeah.
I was going to say it's been a long time. I knew when we started, doing this podcast thing about. I myself, I know you've been doing it a lot longer, but I know you for about 4 years.
Right.
On Broad Street South. We had you over there a couple times. The Eagles played the Packers. So, how are you? Welcome to Fuji and Fleet. Or at
Thank
the
you
50 with Fuji and Fleet.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here. And yes, anytime that we see that the Packers are going to play the Eagles, we have to try to get something lined up, right? And this year, I don't think we've ever played week one. If we have, it's been forever.
Yeah, we have. 2010 or 11 when the Eagles first. It was the game. Kevin Cobb got hurt. I was there. It was the Eagles opener, and the Michael Vick experience took over. Matter of fact, the Packers beat the Eagles in the wild card that year too.
Thanks for the reminder.
And then they went on to win a Super Bowl.
As I can't remember which year it was, but one of the years when the Packers won the Super Bowl, and I took them to the White House.
Oh, you did?
That was yep, and
awesome.
That was it was one of the few teams, because like in Washington, you have Reagan Airport, which is right there in Washington. And very few teams fly in and out of there because of the proximity to the White House and all the, the airspace and everything, because they normally fly into Dallas. But this particular time, they flew into Reagan, and we also took the team to what's the hospital over there with all the injured veterans at. We took them there. Walter Reed.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So we took them there, and so that was a pretty good event for me, and I enjoy the Packers. I really do. But don't get me wrong, man.
No.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
But I do want to thank you for doing your part to keep the Packers safe. Much appreciated.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. In fact, this morning I took the Eagles to the airport this morning. They should be landing right about now. and dropped them off and got them there safely. People ask me all the time, man, you do all these visiting teams, don't you ever talk trash? No, I'm a professional, first of all, and you get to deal with all the NFL, and it's just a good time for me. I enjoy what I do tremendously, so I'm going to do what I can to make sure I'm doing my job. It's 6 minutes to be on the ground.
Nice.
Excellent.
So
can you
Wayne,
believe?
talk about how what are the sentiments of the people in the Green Bay area as far as the Packers this year?
We always are setting our sights on the Super Bowl. It's every single year, at least for a lot of the people that I talk to through the podcast, it really is Super Bowl or bust. And so we just hope that things play out where we make it to the playoffs. Hopefully we don't have to go to Frisco. And if we do, hopefully we found a way to finally get past them in Frisco or make them come to Lambeau in the playoffs. But yeah, Super Bowl, it's just a formality to find out who we're going to be facing in the Super Bowl, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. Wayne, just to dive right into the X's and O's way. I mean, we chopped it up a couple years ago. I believe during COVID, matter of fact, I think Jalen Hurts did get his first start against the Packers.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that, but after Carson Wentz got benched in 2020. So, what is your take now with Jordan Love? I mean, the defensive coordinators, I'm sure, got some tape on him. You got a nice receiving core. I mean, I'm sure it'd be nice if Christian Watson and Dobbs could stay healthy. A couple other guys over there. Just touch on Jordan Love, for the audience, some folks may not be familiar with.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Jordan Love is a professional, and I know he's still young, and last season started out a little bit choppy, but that's to be expected, right? And then we started getting our footing with all these young wide receivers as well. We're still the youngest team in the NFL, and we don't even really need to name one of the wide receivers as a number one. I think Jordan Love has all these different guys to choose from. And by the end of the season, we were getting into the groove last year. And of course, we had a lot of fun marching into Dallas and making the score. What was it? 27-0 at halftime. It was just surreal. And so now I think, like you said, people have tape on the Packers. We're not going to be able to fly under the radar. But then again, for most of the last 30 years, we haven't been able to fly under the radar. So I think it's going to be a great season. It's just week one is always so iffy, as you know. You don't know who's going to show up, who's ready, who might be jet lagged from that 10 or 11 hour flight down to Brazil.
Yeah. And also the fact that your opponent, you don't really have tape because nothing is shown during the preseason.
Right.
And I guess it depends on which team makes the better adjustment at the halftime. Because that first half is totally going to be a filling out period.
For sure.
Well, in the offseason, I know Green Bay brought in Josh Jacobs, replacing Aaron Jones. I mean, what's your take of the running game? I know they drafted what's his name out of Alabama.
Yeah, it really hurts to lose Aaron Jones because he was so dynamic most of the time. He did have a little bit of trouble with injury, but I'm super excited that we have Josh Jacobs, especially since one of my favorite Packers, A.J. Dillon, got the neck injury a week or so ago and is out for the season. So Josh Jacobs is going to be carrying the load, but I'm excited to see what he can do with the Packers, and we need him. Oh, I can't believe we're going to start finding out in just a little over 48 hours from now, guys.
Yes, indeed. Now, did you guys also lose a kicker too, or? What's your kicking situation?
Yeah, during preseason and training camp, near the end of preseason, we got rid of both of our backup quarterbacks and brought in a guy from the Titans.
Mhm.
And then we were also having a kicking competition, and we cut both of our kickers, and we got one of those from the Titans as well. So that part is a little iffy, but I guess the kicker he grew up in Wisconsin as a Packers fan, and has been very successful even though he's very young. The kicking game always makes me nervous, no matter what team I'm watching. So I think we just need to score more touchdowns, and then we don't have to worry about it as much.
Right.
Well, I mean, hey, the special teams in the kicking game always comes to play because hey, could come down to that final couple seconds or overtime, and just could be the deciding factor in the game.
Now, let me ask you, Wayne. I've heard rumors all of these years. I'm pretty sure they're true, but the Packers, the organization, is not a one owner situation. It's owned by the fans, correct?
Absolutely, Fleet. It's I think the only professional team of any sport in North America that's owned by the fans. And I've got my certificate of ownership up on the wall.
Really? Nice.
It doesn't get you really any perks or anything other than if you want to go to the owners meeting in July, you can buy some special owners only merchandise,
right.
and all that. But talk about bragging rights.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wait, can you touch on that? How that ownership works? I know it was just buying stocks. Now, do you not to get personal, but do you still have to put money in that like every year or every so often, or is it just like a one-time fee?
It's a one-time thing, and it seems they don't usually offer the stocks for sale unless they need to do a major renovation to sections of Lambeau Field.
Right.
And so I think I got mine about 12 years ago, I believe it was.
Okay.
And since then, I think they've only had one other offering, but that came at a good time because both my kids are adults. So they both bought shares in the Packers as well. And I think it helped beef up some of the seating in one of the end zones, as well as getting new big high def instant replay boards in both end zones. And so it's a one-time thing. You don't have to pay anything else. You just buy yourself a nice frame so you can put it up on the wall.
Nice. I happen to to be lucky to go out to Lambeau back in 19 before COVID hit, and saw the Eagles play the Packers on Thursday night, which the stadium was just amazing. Fans were great. I know Eagles ended up pulling it out, but it was just an amazing town. Great people, very friendly. Not pretty much, not to knock us Eagles fans, but you pretty much won't get a welcome like in Philly like I did in Green Bay. But just the ambiance of Lambeau Field and the whole history with Vince Lombardi and Bart Starr and just to name a few guys. And just now let me ask you this, getting back to the stocks. Now, does that, how can I put this? Just being are you a season ticket holder being a stock? No, let me rephrase. I'm sorry. Do you have to be a season ticket holder to buy stock, or anybody can just buy the stock from the Packers for ownership?
They actually are so unrelated. I wish they were a little more tied together. Yes, just anybody that wants to can buy the stocks when they do an offering, which I hope they do something again in maybe another 5 years, because we could use a few more thousand seats at Lambeau Field so that we could get. I do not own season tickets. I've been on the waiting list a long time with not much of an end in sight. I think that my kids, or maybe even the grandkids, are going to end up with the right to spend the big bucks on the season tickets. I've been on the waiting list since around 1996, and I've I'm waiting for my annual update. I think I might be up to around number 19,000 left to go on the waiting list.
Hell,
It's a thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you, what part of Wisconsin are you in? Are you in Green Bay?
Well, Fleet, actually, only my heart is in Green Bay.
Okay. Okay.
I'm actually in Southern California, not too far
Oh,
from
okay.
Palm
Okay.
Springs.
Okay.
So it's about 101 degrees today. It's a little too hot. I kind of wish I was in Wisconsin.
I hear you.
But-
So now, how did you come about? I mean, are you originally from out there, or how did you come about getting into the Packers fan podcast, living out there?
It's funny you asked that because I wish I could say I was from Wisconsin. I've been there just for some games, and that's really all
Okay.
I've been.
Mhm.
I actually grew up in Utah. How I became a fan of the Packers, this was, the Bart Starr Lombardi era had already been over for like 5 or 6 years. But when you're in elementary or middle school and they have those little book fairs and your parents send you with $5 or whatever, and you can go buy some little books. I was into football because I was watching the games in the snow, and they happened to have a book on the history of the Green Bay Packers, which was a lot briefer way back then. But I read that, and then I started learning more about Lombardi and Starr and the Super Bowls and the Lombardi Trophy. And even though we then moved to California, I didn't really become a Rams fan or Chargers fan, just stayed a Packers fan. And then when podcasting came out, I'm like, I can talk about this stuff. Why not?
Okay.
Now, just to touch on, how long have you been doing your Packers fan podcast?
Oh, the Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. We're just now getting the 14th season underway.
Wow.
And I was actually talking about the Packers on a podcast a little before then, because I didn't know how to niche down when I first started podcasting in 2005. So I just had a random show. I'd talk about the Packers. I'd talk about ballroom dancing. I'd talk about the TV show Lost. I'd talk about soft serve ice cream. And then I'm like, I need to spin off the Packers into its own show.
I mean,
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, I know podcasting, blew up around, like I said, 2020, and to be going in your 14th year. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Thank you. That's a lot of Packers talk.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
One of my I had my high school coach used to play for the Packers back in the day. I think
Excellent.
he had to have been an offensive line. His name was James Brewerington. And I think it's somewhere around 66 where he played for the Packers there.
Oh man, we need to go back in time and check that out.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. What do you think of the new kickoff rule?
I am still trying to make sense out of it. So if you have extra information, my co-host Scott tried to explain all the rules tied to the kickoff, and it's so different. And when you see it happen, if you watch any of the preseason games,
Right.
it just looks so different that it's going to take a while to sink in.
Yeah.
But kind of related to kickoffs, the onside kick rules. Those new rules I don't like at all. How about you guys?
Yeah, especially you have to inform the team that you're going to attempt an onside kick. What's the surprise there?
Wow.
Disgrace. I'm a throwback. I don't.
And you can't do anything fun like starting the game off with an onside kick.
Matter of fact,
wait till the fourth quarter.
Yeah, fourth quarter. You can't do it until the fourth quarter.
Andy Reid started that off in Dallas in 2000, the pickle juice game.
Yeah,
onside kick.
I like that kind of fun.
Of course, a little razzle dazzle, trickery, whatever you want to call it. But just to dive into the X's and O's. Oh, just more so. I know the Packers. Can you explain the new hire, the Packers' new defensive coordinator? Like,
I
what do you
actually,
think he's going to bring to the table with the Packers?
well, since we haven't played a regular season game with him yet, it's hard to say. I do like everything that he says, and it seems like a lot of the defensive squad seems to really like him. I mean, he promises that we're going to make tackles and we're going to be getting after it.
Right.
But then again, every defensive coordinator kind of says that when they first come on. I remember a previous one, his name's escaping me. He promised that we were going to tackle, and we didn't tackle as much as I'd like. So, but the players seem excited about him. So between him and getting Xavier McKinney, I'm
Right.
pretty amped up for our defense this year.
Well, I mean, some of the matchups, I mean, going against the Eagles front with Luke Van Ness, Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Wyatt. I mean, 6 guys who had more than 4 sacks last year. And then, like you said, you brought in Xavier McKinney, you got Jair Alexander, one of the best cover corners in the game. So it's plus, drafting Edge Cooper. I think I don't know, to me on paper, it looks like, this Packers defense could be revamped, and it's going to be a nice chess match between Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore going up against both coordinators with the Packers.
Right. And even before
Matchup
this,
wise.
yeah, and even before the schedule came out, just looking at who our opponents were going to be, knowing that we're playing against the Eagles, that is, to me, our toughest game of the whole year. And to have it week 1 down in Brazil,
No.
it's going to be tough. It is going to be a chess match, like you say. And if whoever wins this game is off to a fantastic start.
I don't see this. I see this game just being an all-out heavyweight fight. I mean, I don't know. It's both offenses. Look, I mean, of course, I would say the edge has to go to the Eagles receiver and running back wise, and probably offensive line. I mean, Hurts and Love, it's going to be a showdown. It's just, I don't know. I think it's going to be at least less than a touchdown, at least on paper. But who the heck knows? I guess that's why they said that's why they play the games. What's your take?
I just think this could be a great game. I kind of wish that it was later in the season so that both of our teams would, be into a groove. We would know what to expect.
Right.
On the plus side, both teams are very, very healthy right now, but we're also going to be a little bit rusty. I know Jalen Hurts has a lot more experience. And jet lag. Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm a little nervous about the teams going to Brazil as it is. So I don't know if it's true that they are recommending that they don't leave the hotel or anything like that, but just stay safe, guys. Go out, play football Friday night, and come on home.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess my thing is, it's just, there's some Eagles trips, some groups that are down there having a ball, but it's like,
oh yeah,
from what we see back here in Philly, but some of the players just, Devontae Smith don't want to be there. He came out and said no comment, but you could just read his body language in a press conference, and then Darius Slay, he kind of backpedaled on what he said about, he didn't want to go either, and it's just, my thing is, I understand Goodell wants to put the NFL around the world. There's all these games in London every year with Jacksonville, but, it's all about the money. And I'm just thinking, not just the players, the coaches, their families, like, really, do they want, I don't know. I wouldn't want to go to a country that, you can't go sightseeing. Like, you're there, it is business, but, you'd like to get out and do a little sightseeing at least. Not worrying about what's going on or not being able to wear green or, whatever the hell it is. I mean, it's bad enough we got to wear, I love the black helmets, the white pants, and white jerseys, but I don't know with the Packers. I guess they're going to be wearing green, but the Eagles won't even be wearing their respective colors, which is
I didn't know that.
yeah.
How do you guys?
I mean,
How do you feel about that as well, Al?
Well, my thing is when the thing first came out, they was the thing was that nobody's supposed to wear green. But for whatever reason that changed, the Packers going to wear their green. The Eagles going to wear black and white. But my thought is, you're going there to play the game. Whatever you wear, you wear. You go there to perform like a professional and don't worry about the rags you're wearing, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, they a lot of things that were said within the last couple of weeks is not exactly true, But I do know that a lot of the players pretty much said they're going to stay in the room. Matter of fact, the coaches pretty much, encourage that. But the thing about what you were saying, Mike, about going out sightseeing like that, that's never an issue with NFL, because when a team comes to town, let's say like on a Saturday, they come in, they get in by 4:00. They may only have an hour and a half of free time. After that, it's meetings, different position meetings, then team meeting, and then team dinner, and lights out 10:00. So when it comes to things of that nature, that is the same everywhere. You don't have a lot of free time, like for instance, baseball. You in the city for 3 or 4 days. You go sightseeing and do what you want to do. Football is in and out.
Anybody that knows the itinerary is you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know it inside. Absolutely. You probably know it in your sleep, back and forth, sideways.
Yes, indeed. But it's a very short turnaround, and if you ask any player in the NFL, they would say this is a business trip, and they go in there to take care of business, get out of there, come back, prepare for the next week. It's fast and it's furious.
As I said, firsthand, better than all of us.
The fans can do any sightseeing if they feel like to.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like to do when I go to a different city.
Now, speaking of fans, I've heard reports this week that there are going to be a tremendous amount of Packers fans there, and from what they're saying, that it's going to be like a home game for the Packers because there's going to be so many fans. But I don't think they really know Philadelphia that well, because they travel like, oh my goodness, it's going to be a lot. I think the stadium only holds like 48,000.
Wow. So it's a lot smaller than I thought.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of our soccer stadium that the Union plays in here. They showed it on TV several times today. It's definitely not like a NFL stadium. It's very small, and even the end zone, the stands are close to the sidelines and the end zone, so it's like a very personal touch there. So yes, it's a small stadium.
Yeah, I don't know where they get all the information about there's supposedly so many Packers fans down there. I don't. We will find out Friday night.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, doing Eagles trips, quite a few cities. Eagles fans travel well.
Yeah, I think both our teams are in the top 5 or 6 of traveling fans.
And there's, as far as Eagles fans, we pretty much take over a stadium and get our Eagles chant going. And depending on how the game's going. But
yeah, Wayne, let me ask you, let's compare the offense and defense. Now, let's say when the Eagles are on offense, in your opinion, how do you feel that the Packer defense stack up against the Eagles offense?
I think it's going to be pretty even, but but I will say that, Jalen Hurts and the rest of your offense, they have more experience as a unit. So I
Mhm.
think they get the edge, but we're going to have to be disruptive.
Right,
And
right.
Xavier McKinney and Kenny Clark hopefully will have a
Right.
showcase of a game. Otherwise, it could be a long night for our defense.
Mhm.
So, I mean, your offense, they're tried and true. You've been to a few Super Bowls recently, and
Right, right.
and Jalen Hurts is no joke. So
Yeah,
you guys are
yeah.
ready.
And the other way around, the Packers offense is the Eagles defense. How do you see that?
Now, I'm not as familiar with the Eagles defense,
Hmm.
and I admit to being a little overconfident in our offense,
Right, right.
Oh,
even without AJ Dillon.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I would like to
no.
think that we'll take up right where we left off in Dallas last year. I
Mhm.
like to think
Mhm.
of the game against Dallas as our last game of the season, not the other one.
Right, right.
Oh,
Gotcha.
it's like before you jumped on with us. I mean, I said, Cam Jurgens, drafted by the Eagles 2 years ago, and Jason Kelsey, you know, had his input on that draft pick. You're losing a Hall of Famer, the anchor of your defense of your offensive line. Excuse me. You lost Fletcher Cox. It's
Oh,
Jalen
I forgot.
Carter's Milton Williams, who's underrated in that rotation, and Jordan Davis. I mean, these guys are the next to carry the torch, but to me, my main concern is this Eagles pass rush. I mean, you had Hassan Reddick, 27 sacks back to back the last 2 years. Like, who's going to pick that up? I mean, I don't think Vic Fangio is much of a blitzer, but somebody's going to have to get the Jordan Love back there. I mean, can't just let him sit back there all day and have a beer and a sandwich.
No.
To me, I don't really know about the front seven, but I think this Eagles secondary is probably the best they had since 2002. And
Uh-oh. Okay.
they're pretty much stacked, at depth wise too. But the front four and just the linebackers are a question mark. And if they can't get the love, it's just going to be a problem. To me, I think it's just going to. Well, besides Josh Jacobs, I mean, they could pound him
That's true. That could be the key.
and just it depends. I think the Eagles secondary will match up well with. Plus, they got Luke Musgrave. I know you guys got Musgrave over there too at tight end. So I'm not. I'm so much. I'm more worried about just the front seven and the back four because, like I said, we brought C.J. Garner Johnson back. Was a staple in that secondary on that defense. The Super Bowl year, 6 interceptions. Didn't even play the whole year, but I know he was tied. So he's a ball hawk. And, you got Slade. Depends on our first round pick, Quenyon Mitchell. Is he going to start or is it going to be Isaiah Rodgers, which was a nice pickup from Indy last year who got suspended for gambling? Cooper DeJean, just working himself in, Reed Blankenship, Avante Maddox. So, like I said, I just think the secondary is lights out, but it's all just going to come down to the front seven, at least on the Eagles' defensive look, the guys up front and the linebackers.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wonder if
Go
it's going to
ahead.
be a low scoring game or not. I wonder if it's going to be one of those
Well,
opening weeks where it's like 13-7. I
or
want
a
to see
barn burner.
touchdowns.
Now, that's something very hard to predict, but that brings me up to my next question in comparison. Love and Hurts. Where's the advantage there?
Well, as much as I love Jordan Love and think he's very dynamic, I think just the
Hmm.
experience, the edge
Oh,
is going to go to Hurts.
Hmm.
I mean, not trying to sound to be a homer, but you're talking
Go
about
for it.
the guy that was the guy that technically probably should have been the MVP 2 years ago, and the guy that was in the MVP conversation the first 11 games last year, Jalen Hurts. So, like, here's the thing. I mean, Jalen's had a different coordinator every year. Kellen Moore, had some good years with Dallas, brought in some new, fresh ideas. They're saying Hurts looks sharp. So Jalen's playing with a chip on his shoulder. It's technically the Eagles. Yeah. Technically, the Eagles can get out of this contract with Jalen Hurts next year if they want to. But to me, it's kind of that was the talk. Probably right after the draft. But it's kind of like with Carson Wentz. I mean, the Eagles gave him that big deal, and then you draft Hurts. And I'm sure Carson Wentz was butthurt because he had to look over his back, look in the rear view. Got benched, hightailed himself out of here. It's Jalen Hurts' team. So to me, I think Jalen Hurts well bounced back this year. Like I said, I think the man's on a mission. New offense, better coordinator. He's got the weapons, and again, there's no excuse. At least from being an Eagles fan, there's no excuse with this team. I mean, you got one of the best receiving corps in the game. You went out, brought in Saquon Barkley.
That's right.
You tightened up the defense a little, so there is no excuse. This is Jalen Hurts' team. It's Jalen Hurts' time now. So
you're not feeling bad for Giants fans that have to see Saquon go to a division rival.
Well, let's say this. Saquon Barkley is probably about an hour away from outside of Philly, from the Allentown area. So, hey, you can't blame the guy for wanting to, Giants never offered him a contract. And,
right.
Big player, great player, Penn State, wanted to play in his own backyard. So, he's coming home, and I'm sure, how we paid him. Eagles never paid running backs, but, I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder. He's running behind a better offensive line. So, really, the sky's the limit, and there's no excuse for the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the elite teams in the NFL. So, now I'll get a little fired up. But let me
stay fired up, Mike.
Let me get a little, I can't think of the word, decompress. It's my emotion start. But no.
Okay, Wayne. Next comparison. LaFleur, Sirianni.
Oh.
I love my coach LaFleur.
You know what? I'll say, go ahead. I'm going
to give, that's okay. I'm going to give him the edge, and we'll have to see how the season goes. But I would not be surprised if we'll be talking about head-to-head matchups again in the playoffs. It's just a matter of will the game be in Philly or will the game be in Green Bay when it comes to the playoffs.
Right. Remains to be seen. But I'll give props to LaFleur because, he was an unproven coach. To me, it had Aaron Rodgers all over it. And I don't need to tell you, but, I mean, I know it's 1 year under Jordan Love, but, the players always make the coaches look good.
Yeah, true.
I mean, Bill Parcells always said coaches get the blame too much when they lose and too much of the credit when they win. But, the coaches put the plays in, the players got to go out and execute. So I was going to ask you this earlier. If you really look at Aaron Rodgers' situation getting drafted, it's kind of like Jordan Love's, aren't they pretty much in the same boat? I mean, when Rodgers was playing behind Brett Favre for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I'm sure Brett Favre was not very happy when we drafted Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron did have to sit behind Brett Favre for 3 long years.
Right.
And then the same thing happened. Jordan Love comes to town and he has to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 long years. But I think the transitions between all three of those guys have really been relatively seamless considering. And I think that goes to show that if you can swallow your pride for 3 years and learn a lot from, future legends, you can really take things over. And I know our division rivals, Bears, Vikings, and Lions, if we end up with a third potential NFL Hall of Fame quarterback in a row, they're just going to be sick to their stomach, and that brings a smile to my face.
Now let me ask you this, Wayne. You talking about the 3-year period? Okay, let's compare for Rodgers and Love in that 3-year period. Where is Love in his talent wise at 3 years compared to Rodgers and Favre?
Oh, dang, Al, that one's a tricky question. What's amazing is they are so different from each other. I mean, it's really comparing apples and oranges. I think even though the first like 5 or 6 weeks of last season was a little choppy for Jordan Love, I think he got into a groove a lot faster in his first year than Aaron Rodgers did. But then, of course, Aaron Rodgers by the second year was really starting to roll things on. So I think they're very close, but I was surprised with my rose gold colored glasses. I was surprised how the last like month and a half of the season, Jordan Love and our receivers were just on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then Favre, that was just, well, it was so long ago for one. We had Reggie White. Thanks again for Reggie, by the way. We appreciate it. That's what made, I think, Brett Favre possible.
Yeah, but let me, it's a shame because if you watch A Football Life with not just Reggie White, but Jerome Brown, I believe Norman Brayman, the owner of the Eagles at the time, didn't even offer Reggie White a contract. And, I'm going back to 1992, and some folks out there were probably not even born, but the radio station here, WIP, which is now 94 WIP, but they actually did a pep rally in Love Park in Center City. Nobody, it was all, they got everybody together, and they didn't want Reggie White to leave. I mean, I'd say there was probably at least 20, 30,000 people down there. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but, if you watch that, you'll see that there was a big pep rally for, fans wanted Reggie White to stay in Philly. And,
right.
It was a slap in the face of the Eagles fans because, I know Reggie won a Super Bowl with the Packers, but he was a Philadelphia Eagle. He's played here for 8 years and he didn't want to leave. He wanted to retire, and it's a shame his life was cut short due to sleep apnea. But
right,
me, Reggie White is to you he's a Packer. To me, he's an Eagle. So just one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
We can definitely agree on that.
I mean, we can agree.
And he's one of the greats that you really can see both parts of his career.
Right.
So our teams are forever tied together because of Reggie White, because a lot of players, maybe Charles Woodson, he did great things with the Raiders as well as with the Packers, but a lot of top tier players that switch teams, they really do well on one of those two teams, not both.
Right.
Just to touch on this, Wayne. I mean, you're playing in a tough division, the black and blue division there. That's the old NFC North. I mean, can you touch on maybe the Bears and the Lions? Like, is this going to be not to count Minnesota out, but what's your take of the other teams in the division?
Well, let me preface it by saying I don't pay as much attention to them until the season actually starts.
Right.
But I am kind of counting out the Vikings. I think they're toast, last place in the division. The Lions, can they possibly keep up doing as well as they did the past 2 years? That remains to be seen. And the Bears, that it seems like they're always rebuilding, and the Bears fans are always talking a lot of trash. I mean, they were talking trash. They were so excited when they got Mitch Trubisky, and then when they got so that all remains to be seen. But I do think the Packers win the division with the Lions close behind. The Bears maybe even close behind the Lions, but I don't know if the Vikings can overcome not only their bad decisions, but these terrible injuries they've had over the past month.
Right.
All right. Probably just going to leave Justin Jefferson very unhappy.
Yeah, but my nephew wants to know how you feel the Cowboys are going to do against your Eagles this year.
Well, let me
I'll
start
let Al
with this
touch
one.
on that first.
I don't think they. I think we're going to split as always, but also as always, I think the Cowboys going to have a great season, and then they're going to fold as always when it comes to the playoff. Now, I mean, not a Cowboys fan, strictly Eagles fans, but you know, the truth is the truth. They play very well during the regular season. But for whatever reason, once that regular season is over, they're over. So
Isn't
we
that too
have to
bad?
beat them here in Philadelphia. I know that, because if not, then it's a miserable week for everybody in Philadelphia.
Yes, it
If
is.
Dallas come into this link and beat us, Mike, your opinion on it?
I'm, they finally did the right thing and signed CD Lamb. I mean, Dak's playing on a 1-year deal, and Dak's what to him. Forget his record in the playoffs, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, he's basically going to showcase, what he can do, to move on to the next team. I mean, it's, Micah Parsons, I'm sure he's going to want to get paid next. And, it's, I don't know. I'll say this, and, Jerry Jones, as he continues to run this team every year, that's the word. He's his own worst enemy, because the guy's 81 years old and he's still wants to be the front man, the face of the franchise, whatever you want to call it. It's just, they'll also be there, but I'll say this. I don't really want to overhype this team, but I think Washington's going to make some noise in this division. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think Jaden Daniels is the real deal. New ownership, new coach, just a new culture in Washington. And good for the Washington fans, because, Snyder ran that team into the ground. Basically,
it's true.
Basically, pardon my language, the guy was a scumbag owner. Had to go. Hope I can say that on here. But
let me ask both of you guys a question.
Sure.
I don't understand what kind of loyalty an owner has when he has a team in Philadelphia. He has a team in Washington. Yeah, because the owner of the Commanders owned the Philadelphia 76ers.
And plus, he owns the New Jersey Devils.
The New Jersey
hockey
Devils.
Team.
Now, so where are you going to put your energy, your funds, in which team? That's
Great
what
analogy.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, it's the bottom line is about the dollar, but you got 3 professional teams, and they're all within the same, I'd say, 100 miles radius. NFC East, the Commanders. You got the Philadelphia 76ers that belongs to the East, and he owns both of them. So Where are
And
you
they-
going to put your energy, your main focus at to make sure that team progresses? I don't understand it.
That's an excellent question. I don't know how you can possibly stay focused with all three, and
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit of a blessing that all of us owners of the Green Bay Packers, we're not. There's no other
Oh.
team that we can be owners of, so we
Mm.
have to have our focus in Green Bay.
Great question for an owner of the Packers, one of many owners.
One of many. One of many.
Okay. All right. Let's see, you got to go here pretty soon. So Mike, you have a last question for Wayne?
I'm just going to ask a throwback question. Well, actually, a question and a comment. Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre? In your opinion,
Oh,
if you had to choose.
if I had to choose, and we're talking about when they were in their prime, right?
Either both careers, entirety. Well, no, Brett Favre with the Packers. Not saying when he was Benedict Arnold and went to Minnesota.
Yeah, I would go with Brett Favre. I would go with Brett.
Go with the gunslinger.
Yeah, because he always looked like he was having fun, even if he had a giant cast on his hand or his foot in a boot and he's out there hobbling around like a pirate.
Even
he was yeah, no matter what, you knew who your starting quarterback was going to be that week. He may be hobbled, but Brett Favre's going to be out there slinging the ball around, butting heads with Warren Sapp and just having a great time.
My one last comment was, and this, I don't mean to rub this in your face.
Uh-oh, I'm ready.
Eagles are the only teams, well, besides the New York Giants, to beat Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl. And wasn't it the only time that Vince Lombardi lost was to the Philadelphia Eagles in 1960?
That might be.
Well, how many Super Bowls did Lombardi win? 3?
Lombardi won 2 that were called Super Bowls, but he won
NFL titles.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had, I think 5, because Bart Starr has 5 championships, and he certainly did that with Lombardi. So, and I'll say that any of those games against the Patriots, I was definitely rooting for the Eagles, as well as when it was the years of the Giants. But that year with the Philly special and beating the Patriots, that was a happy day.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was. Any of those Patriots losses. Shame Atlanta couldn't beat them.
Wayne, we appreciate you very much for coming on. Apologize to our audience. We advertised having more people on, but it didn't happen. But it's all good. You came in. We had a great time and appreciate your time up here. So I thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you. And, I don't know, before you go, I mean, I just want to throw it record-wise for the Packers and score the opener.
Well, before I get into that, I want to thank you guys, Fleet and 50, or Fleet and Fuji at the 50.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a great conversation to have with you guys. And it's, the Eagles are a great team, so it's going to be a great game. The Packers' record for this season, I can hear my co-host Scott, who's the pragmatic one. His eyes are rolling back in his head, but I think we're going to be 14-3. And maybe even better. But this first game is the one that I'm kind of nervous about. So I think this game is going to be really close. I believe Packers are going to pull it out 20-17.
Okay. Mike, go ahead real quick there. What's your
prediction? I'm going to go 28-23 birds.
Okay. And I'm going to go 24-21 birds. With that being said, thank you so much, Wayne.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Wayne.
you. And we will talk again, and we will have you on again.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been At the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. Thank you so much for listening in, and everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.